Hi everyone, I want to share with you my workflow of how I made this testimonial section, which is fully responsive, fully customizable with Shotzi Tailwind, with an admin panel in an hour and a half. So non-technical people can edit it. So this is my side. Everything that you see here, every text, link, card is coming from the admin panel. I'm using Payload CMS, which is a CMS living inside your Next.js app. No third-party services, it's fully type safe. The DX is amazing. One quick note I would like to add. Guys, don't expect to do it within an hour and a half the first time you try. Every time I watch some YouTube videos and they do it within 15-20 minutes, it usually takes me hours. I don't know if I'm slow, but that's my experience. So let me show you now how I did it. We're in the admin panel, and the marketers can add a new testimonial section by adding this top level block, testimonial 25. They can add the title, the subtitle, CTA, and link, which are title, subtitle, CTA, text, and link. And then they can add more blocks for the testimonials, which is a different block. It's a sub block. Let me show you. That means review for a client, from a client. And for each review, they can add the quote, the client's name, what's their position, and the company. So here they are: quote, name, row, and company. Now the code. I'm using Payload CMS, which is directly integrated into your folders, which makes it fully type safe. I prefer a bottom-up approach for the showcase. So I got this UI, I installed it, and I can just copy the code. Let me show you. You know what? Let's make a new one. Which is the original from the Shotzi and blocks. I'll just copy it. Oh, I got it, but whatever. So, I got some dummy content here. No props. It's just fully static, hard coded. What I did is, here in the map function, these are the individual reviews. I extracted this whole component because I know my marketers will need to add more of them. I don't want to hard code them, like to have 5 reviews and that's all. I want my marketers to add as many reviews as they see fit. So I need to extract this component and make a new Payload CMS block out of it, together with the whole section as a block. And what I did is, I basically started replacing the hard-coded content with some props, but initially just for the card. I started with the card. No, the card it's already typed. It's got the testimonial quote, author, and I just extracted it with my own types, which are not these ones. These are coming from Payload, which I made later. from my experience, I always strive for as minimal time as possible for the UI to be broken or some functionality to be broken. I don't want to make big changes at once. I want gradual replacement and gradual changes so that stuff is broken for less time and I don't have to fix 20 things in order for it to work. Let, let me show you what I mean by that practically. Now, instead of just replacing all the props and figuring out what props to send, I started with the card, which is already typed, and I waited for replacing the other text. I did not replace the title, the helper text initially. Instead, I left it as is, so the UI looks good with the sample data here. And I've gone to payload so that I can get my raw data and types from payload. And I made a new block. So this is testimonial 25, the card block, the symbol. And I've got one more block for the whole section. So we got two blocks. Let's start from the top to bottom. Now I'm basically making this testimonial section to come from payload so my marketers can modify anything. By anything I mean the text and adding more testimonials. Now, this block is a type coming from payload. I always include it because it makes my blocks fully type safe. It'll scream at me if I don't include a slug in a field. It'll basically not allow me to run my code. So the slug is a required field. I know exactly what it does. It's like an ID. The interface name is not required, but highly recommended because later you can use all the types coming from payload into your UI, which I'm using. So I looked at the original hard-coded content and started adding fields, basically the title. Okay, this is the title. I'm making a new field. Okay, I see some, like a subtitle. I named it helper text. Now the interesting part is, after I added all the simple text that my marketers can edit, I made a new field called blocks. And this allows me to include sub-blocks to my whole section. So I can include more testimonials as I wish from the admin panel to the section. I named it blocks, type of blocks. And let me show you what the amazing part of payload is. Everything is type safe. So even defining fields, it was blocks. IntelliSense, bro, let's go, 2025. It's a required field. It should have at least one review. And for the blocks, you have to pass in an array. And I just have one block, the testimonial block. These are some descriptions and whether it should be collapsed by default when you open it. So this is the whole section. This whole block is the section. The individual testimonial, I did the exact same way. So I looked at, this is the individual testimonial, and I just copied the types. We got an image, image, author, author, quote, where is it? Yeah, quote. We got the company in the row, company row. I'm just copying the fields into payload, and whether they're text or whatever, and some labels for my marketers. This is Bulgarian, by the way. When I did this whole block, I added it to my pages collection. Oh, that was not it. Oh, actually, that's it. And in my pages collection, I have a tab for content. Basically, I'm adding the exact same way this whole section into the field for blocks, but in my pages collection. Previously, I had a FAQ, a gallery for previous business events, and now I got the testimonials. Now, what one key thing, I still had hard-coded content. I did not extract the props just yet, so my UI works. I don't have to pass anything here. My UI is still working. After I managed to somehow fetch my data from payload, then I add the props to my components and remove the hard-coded stuff. Now, this is how I init the payload object. When you have the payload object, you can use the local API, which returns fully type-safe queries from your database. I'm using Postgres, which has Drizzle under the hood. Yeah, this is how I query my page, and I limit it to one page. It's basically the home page. Now that I extract my homepage from the docs, this is how I'm getting my blogs. And it's called homepage.blogs because in my homepage collection, in my pages collection, let's see what the name is for the field. Look, it's called blogs. And that's why it's homepage.blogs. If I name it homepage dot whatever, it will be. If I name it whatever, it will be homepage dot whatever. And I'm finding where the block type is testimonial 25 block. And look what, again, a cool part of payload is. It's fully type safe. I can't make an error. Like a stupid error. Can make many errors, but not those stupid ones. And this is coming from the slug from testimonial 25 block. I believe, yeah, it's the same. So the slug is like an ID. Now I have the data. I'm checking if I have the data. So, because it could be undefined if I cannot find this block. I'm rendering the testimonials. And now, when I have the data, I checked it. You can console log it or whatever. Now I extracted the hard-coded stuff into props. And here's the neat part. I didn't type this type here. I didn't write it. It comes out the box from payload by the fields you define. Because I defined, let me show you. Oh, I messed something up. Because I defined these fields in my config for the block, you see title, because of the name, and it's a string, helper text, helper text. And it's not null because I added a require. So it will always be there. The CTA text is missing a required, so it could be null. And these types are generated by payload when you run in dev mode automatically. And also I have the types for the testimonial card. I later, because I typed those types manually, I just replaced it with the payload stuff, and it's the same. So and then I passed the data from payload. That's it.